Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Now that I'm done with my prepared statements, I promise to talk a lot slower. Okay, now I need to first respond to that whole agnostic atheist question again. When Samuel said that I'm not certain that whether or not God actually exists. Yeah, that is true. As anybody who is logical, as anybody who prides himself in an understanding of science, I have to say that I'm not certain that God doesn't exist. But I'm as certain as about God's non-existence as I am that if I drop this phone, it will fall to the ground. Right? So gravity is a scientific theory. It's called a theory, and that is how science works. Right? You try and suggest a law for something that happens in the universe, and you repeat that experiment as many times as you can, and you see what results there is. However, because you cannot, even if you find one instance where if I let go of the phone and it doesn't fall to the ground, that is evidence you have to accept. That is what we talk about having an open mind in science. However, there has been billions, trillions, I don't know how many apples that has fallen around trees on the planet Earth for years and years now, and the theory of gravity is pretty much a given, on Earth at least. But at the same time, when science goes outside of the Earth and you start calculating the interactions of various different planets and suns and whatnot, it's not good enough. And therefore, we try to come up with a better explanation, a better calculation, which can actually produce the exact results. That is how science works. Science is not a magic trick, and science understands its own limitation, and science does not make claims which it is unable to show you over and over again. Now, this links back to the whole evolution question thing. A lot of people like to use this argument that you cannot reproduce evolution. Well, actually, that is not exactly true. The whole evolution thing is the micro evolution, which you believe in. The doctor says I'm wrong. But the basic idea actually come into contact with all the time, which makes you sick and so on. These kind of things are actually constantly changing, and that is the reason why the science of medicine have to actually adapt and change in order to catch up with how the bacteria is adapting to you. That is evolution. The reason why you have to take so many different medications, the reason why you have to finish taking your antibiotics every day is evolution, which is reproducible. We are not producing it. The world is producing it. No doctor tells the virus, please change so that I have some work to do and so that I can keep earning money. Nobody does that. It happens by nature, and nobody has to tell it to do so. That is evolution at work. As for the issue of where life actually originated, admittedly science does not have all the answers yet. But we are making progress towards understanding these things. Right? We sent a probe to Mars a couple of weeks ago, and we're trying to find whether there are actually organic materials there. Inside labs, we have created the common materials which is available on Earth during early Earth-like periods, and we generate situations, running electricity to them, applying heat and pressure and so on, until the organic chemicals which are necessary to start the process of the creation of amino acids happen. And they happen. You get a whole bunch of organic goo, which, given enough time, aeons, millions and millions of years, can actually produce the first basic building blocks of life. And these basic building blocks of life, we believe, given enough time, we will probably be able to create evidence. Again, science does not make a claim immediately before proving it, but we are moving towards it. Right? Probably RNA now, if I'm not mistaken, and then after that, more complex DNA. You can read this. This is all available information, and you should not make claims about this and dismiss it completely before you have gained at least a basic level of understanding. We all know biology in school was generally not paid attention to. The only part we should pay attention to is when your lecturer got to the part about human reproduction. So. Other points. Now, I think one major thing that I have to discuss here is that perspective thing again. The whole atheism versus agnosticism thing. One of the major things it tries to point to you is that God holds a special position in your system of beliefs, in the system with which you use to think about the world. Now, if anybody else were to come to you and tell you something really strange, are there fairies in your garden? Are there little twinkling winged girls flying around your garden right now? Well, yes, to be technically correct, I would say, yes, I'm open to the possibility that they are there. It is possible, I should be not sure about it. It doesn't work that way. You will immediately say, no. So, the default state of the world is an evidential state. People have to come to you and offer you evidence. If there are fairies in your garden, show one to me, catch one. Show to me every day that the flowers are growing at times when flowers are not supposed to grow, or maybe they eat your leaves or something like that, and there are no rabbits and no animals inside the area. You have to provide evidence when you're actually making a claim. And for a lot of people, this inability to see this difference in perspective is actually what makes the difference between an atheist versus somebody who would believe. And another thing you need to think about is, from your own perspective of belief, of presupposing that God already exists, think about all the other people who are presupposing that all the other gods exist. Because you are born, and this is the point I made earlier, because you are born in a specific location in this world. If you're born in the Bible Belt in America, 99% of the time you will turn out a Christian. If you're born in Saudi Arabia, 99% of the time you will turn out a Muslim. You will feel the Muslim God, you will feel, if you're born in India, the Hindu God. How do you then tell yourself or check for yourself whether you're worshipping the right God? Let's assume that I'm not talking about atheism for a moment here. You want to believe in God, you definitely feel something very, very keenly. How do you then justify that? And that is a very important question which you need to answer to yourself when you are talking about a belief. Now, another two things. With regards to Bible prophecy and how using the Bible, constantly going back to the Bible in order to prove your own argument, we call this a circular argument. If you want to use the Bible as a definition and as the proof of everything that you hold true in your life, you first have to unequivocally prove to yourself that the Bible is accurate. Nobody should be telling you this. Nobody should be suggesting it to you. You need to take the Bible, you need to read it, you need to know where it came from, you need to know who wrote it, over how long a period of time, how before there was printing presses the book managed actually to be preserved. And you need to answer all these questions satisfactorily to yourself before you can open it and you can say, oh look, this guy said that this prophecy is true. You need to prove to yourself that the Bible is actually accurate before you can actually say that these things are actually prophecies, and then, oh look, it's actually been fulfilled here. This is an example of a self-fulfilling prophecy if you only believe that everything I say is true. Last year I predicted that this year I would buy a tablet. Look, it does not work this way. How do you know I'm telling the truth? Did I write it down somewhere and put a slip of paper in a bank saying that this year I will definitely buy a tablet? Let's forget about the fact that obviously it's my decision. Right? Let's say that he has a phone and I'm saying that this year he'll buy a new phone, and he says, look, there's the phone that right there, and he's telling you that yeah, he predicted that. I would need to show you a proof. Maybe a lawyer had to sign a piece of paper that I wrote last year, or something like that. But this kind of proof is usually not very present in the whole community. How many of you here know where the Bible actually came from? How many of you here know what the languages it was written in? Who translated your Bible for you? How many of you know the actual context of the writings of the Bible? One of the major reasons why is 10 minutes, right? No, not yet. No, I'm supposed to have 10 minutes, right?
Go 2 more minutes.
I actually did this. This is one of the major reasons that I actually came out of theism. I actually checked out the origins of the Bible, and I was trying so hard to convince myself that what the Bible says is true. It is wonderful. It's amazing, some of the things that it says. Back then, I could not see the ridiculousn's of some of the things which I actually stated in the Bible. But once I actually came out to it and saw the Bible as another book that may or may not contain truth, that actually has to be proven to me before I actually take its word, the clarity of what is actually written in the Bible became extremely obvious to me. In the same way, when you pick up an encyclopedia, you shouldn't believe everything it says inside. In the same way you pick up a textbook you read in school, you shouldn't believe everything it says inside. Somebody wrote that book. That person did research. I wrote this speech. Some of the things I'm saying here could be lies. You don't know that unless you know me very, very well. And it's the same way when you deal with the real world, you need to apply a certain level of skepticism. That is essentially the only way that the world actually works. And this perspective difference, the ability to throw away all need for evidence and everything else, when you deal with God and God alone, is actually the only thing which makes this difference between atheists and, you could say, most theists. God really, really holds a special place in your heart. And talking about that, I'm scared of the dark. I will admit this. I'm really, really scared of the dark. When I sleep at night, how many of you have watched Supernatural? That nighttime show where somebody is it's a ghost movie where there's this poltergeist who's moving around your house and like moving things around and scaring the crap out of people. Supernatural activity. Paranormal activity. And after I watched that movie, I couldn't sleep for a couple of weeks. It's a phobia. It's a real phobia. Don't laugh at people with phobias. I'm scared. I'm really scared. When I lie down on the bed at night, I can feel a presence behind me. I'm telling you this, I can feel that presence. And this is how your brain is wired. And a lot of the time, people think that your brain, people are more confident in the control you have over your brain than you actually are. Your brain is a series of processes of chemicals, and if I have more time, I'll talk about that later. Thanks.